What is up? So done very minimal here, but I just wanted to check out all these YouTube videos talking about all these new devices that have been kind of late to the party. I just watched like a ton of videos about people talking about it, so I'm not really gonna copy them and just talk about these devices. I'm just using them, and I think this is pretty cool so far. This expressive chords. I just kind of got my push going right now. I didn't feel like doing anything complicated. I just mapped the mod wheel to this inversion thing. So like if I hold a note, if I move the mod wheel, you kind of get like the same chord, but like the pitch of it is higher or lower. And then I just threw that on some random preset I had really quickly and rapid. I wasn't even trying to make anything. I just wanted to see the functionality. Like, I honestly didn't even know what this button did just now as I clicked on it. Wow, this is cool. Plays notes in the reversed order. Interesting. Oh wow, that's cool. Why doesn't the MIDI strum have something like that? Or maybe it does. That's very cool. Anyway, that's already inspiring. Something like this that was so like unexpected, I guess. That's what's different about it. Usually everything I do is extremely predictable. Like I know what it's gonna sound like before I do it, which is the why I do it. And I never really mess with the philosophy of, like, for example, randomization or like stuff that gives you unpredictable results, because although that could be cool, I feel like it's a gamble that you have to roll the dice like 50 times before you get something that's actually inspiring. So although it's cool, it'll generate something that's like cool to hear. It's not like something I would use. In this case, we're just working with MIDI and it's so simple, but the inversion thing's kind of the icing on the cake, and like these other things right here. I think this is actually a really good effect because all of these are somewhat predictable, and there's stuff like this that I find useful in like third-party VSTs, like the stuff in Serum and whatnot. But now that it's just kind of built in Ableton, I'm like, wow, actually this is extremely useful. I didn't think I would ever be using this when I first saw it. I was like, I would probably never be using this. But now I'm thinking I should probably like always try to use this when I'm doing like a chord progression or something. Especially that I think in here somewhere you can create your own chords like by just importing it from your MIDI. So like I can go to my MIDI drawn chords here and say I have some weird progression like this or whatever. I can just import all these into the expressive thing and then get something that's like would like take a long time. Like for the strumming I'd have to go in here, and even with the time savers, like stuff like this, I'd have to like go in there and edit it, but then now these are too long, so then I kind of still have to go in there and edit it. Whatever, like I know there's people who get fast at this workflow. I'm just saying it takes time. And everything takes time, so this version of it also takes time, but I feel like just dragging these up and down and, you know, getting some weird stuff, and then you don't even have to use these sources. I'm sure you could probably use like Max for Live stuff, so like yeah, that's really cool. It's kind of useful for just experimenting with your MIDI before ever going into any kind of audio processing. Anyway, in this particular progression I did, I kind of liked it, surprisingly, and I heard something, so I kind of want to just go for it. I'm gonna go ahead and look for a third-party library. I kind of don't want to use any of those sounds, but I do have the MIDI for that stuff now. So let's go ahead and Ableton drum rack in here. Okay, cool. So back to this then. So let's go ahead and I'm just curious what would happen if we record the MIDI from that, like after the fact. Yeah, interesting. So I guess now you can take your, you know, like I said, it's like a gamble, like the dice. You just kind of sampled this random thing, which is not something you would draw in and program, and now you can go in and draw and program it to fix anything that was wrong with it. So let's go ahead and disable everything here for sake of CPU. You'll see that right there, it goes way lower. Now, these chords were kind of weird to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and just drop that down with my own inversion here. Cool. Now we have sort of a more tamed progression, I guess. Video I did a little Ableton device here with the spectral resonator and using Roar with its new delay algorithm. So basically Roar is just a delay plugin with a nice saturation on the delayed signal. And yeah, I haven't really, this is like, I saved it as a V1 right here because this isn't really it's still a work in progress. It's not really like nice and neat. First of all, let's see what scale our song is in. So I'm no music theorist. I'm doing this my way. If it's wrong, I don't care. Shout about it all you want in the comments. I'm just gonna go ahead and call that my root note because it's the one it starts with, and then see which one of these they all fit in. So it looks like minor so far. Yeah, they all seem to fit in the purple, and that's all I care about, right? So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the song's in D sharp minor. So I'm gonna go ahead and put scale aware on here so I can shift the scale degrees. So what I could do to create something related for this song or whatever is, let's get another audio track and record rapid. Cool, now we have that entire thing sampled into audio, and then let's just drag that into here, into our spectral resonator, and then we'll take our side chain actually wait, I did that totally backwards, so hold on, we'll keep that just since we already recorded it. I forgot, in this case actually we only need the MIDI, so we'll put the MIDI input from Rapid pre-effects, of course. We'll let that run. Let's mute Rapid though. We'll disable that. And then for the spectral resonator, we need the drum track. Let's go ahead and do that. There's that. Now we put that in this audio track. And then hit the MIDI. Right, so I was thinking about it like a vocoder. I keep forgetting that the spectral resonator is, although similar in some ways in sound, it's operating completely different because it's just resonators, but it's very controlled resonators, which is awesome. So I can actually just move this up and down now. So yeah, the scale awareness on that is really cool. I wouldn't really use them as like chord changes or anything. I would just kind of find where it fits best and then set and forget kind of thing. cool. So we have like not only a variation of something familiar to the original sound, we can make variations of that. So now it starts getting into like sampling and composition. So let's go ahead and sample that. I don't want the delays baked in, but since this is like kind of modularly separate thing here that I titled Sat Delay, also work in progress obviously, but the beauty of that is now I can disable it. And this is kind of what I was saying about Ableton's modularity in the last video. It makes it so flexible and usable, and you can think ways around problems as long as they keep things more or less separated, which in this case I had to create this whole device since this thing wasn't separated. So that's okay though. It's now separated on its own, and I'm going to disable it. I'll sample this, and then I'll sample the variation with the shaper box thing, and then later on that audio I can drag this sat delay on that and now still have the effect as if it was being generated from this chain. Pattern. So we have both of those now. We drag those. Let's make these a different color and drag them into their own thing. And then also on the sat delay here, I'm going to move that now over to this. And now we have it as if it was from the very chain itself that it generated these audios from. So it's its own thing. We can call this like resonators, and then we'll call this drum bounce. So like anything I render out from drums in the future would go there. Theoretically, if this was like an actual project I was working on, it's like I am starting to turn this into a project I'm working on. That wasn't my intention. That's just how well the this expressive chords thing kind of sent me down a rabbit hole, which is what you want, right? You want your DAW to inspire you, make you creative. So now I have all these different layers. This is like the rapid pad. Everything's basically in audio now, these things. Here, let's make another drum thing really quick. Okay. Let's go ahead and sample that. Okay, so now I got like examples of like scenes, right? That's how you can start with very few elements, which was originally the drums, the synthesizer making the pads, and then like the MIDI, you know, expressive chords thing. Now we have like related material from few sources. So we have the original pad, we have the drums, and then we have some resonating fusion of the drums and the pads. Anyway, I guess that kind of wraps it up. The expressive chords is kind of cool. To wrap it up, let's just go here. We'll go to expressive chords here by itself, and then I want to go ahead and import my chord progression. So import from clips. How do I do that? Do I have to drag the clip into this track and then import it? Wow, okay. Interesting. So let's put in something so we can hear it. Now I wonder why it didn't just load it like here, there, or whatever, kind of like a sampler, simpler type thing or whatever with audio. Instead it kind of like put it across this board. Is it because these chords are like pieces of what's already in the default one, like where they're all present, all the chords? Are these just, it detected, oh, you use these same chords, so here's where they are? I'm not sure. It's interesting. You know what? This This is actually a really good way to simulate like more humanization. If they could apply this effect to the piano roll in some way that is convenient, because I know this way worked, but it's goofy, right? Because we started with the piano roll, right? We started here, and then we dragged that over here into the track, and then we imported it here, and then it added those chords from, I guess, any clip that would be in this track, I'm assuming. Okay, so we're now no longer in the piano roll, but we get all these piano roll type effects that it's affecting the MIDI that we would then have to like send into another MIDI track or something. So like I'd have to go here, grab the MIDI from 15, and then record, right? And I can shift through the articulations. Anyway, that was like obviously not very musical, but here now we have the articulation differences, which circles back to what I said is like this is a good way to add to the simulation of a human performance. And then you go here, and then that would be perfectly quantized, right? And then you kind of just dial that in, like this would be robot and then this would be humanized, and you kind of just get it to where you want it. But what would be cooler is if that was all just built in the piano roll somehow in one of these things. You get all your chord choices that you can audition off a click. I mean, isn't that way more intuitive? Imagine that was on the side here, and then you just drag it over, and it, you know, looks like whatever chord it is. You just drag it, and then it'll look like that. You click a different one, and it'll look like, you know, the other one. And then boom, now you can build your thing that way. And then obviously the strum stuff is kind of the same. You can still do your strums like that, but what was cool is how you had the ability to put an LFO on each one. I don't know how that would be implemented on a piano roll. Like say you selected many chords, and I guess the software was intelligent enough to know that these are one chord, these are one chord, even though they're strummed and they're not at the same perfect time, it would somehow know, right? And then when you apply the strum, you would get some kind of multi-window like this where you click it and you add it, and then you can just have the strums like different. So why don't we do that, Ableton, on the next update? Like, picture all four of these windows are this entire strum window just being duplicated. So you hit plus here, and then you can make them slightly different. So when you highlight like four of them, it'll just boom, 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 apply each one differently to those progressively. And if you have 8 selected, it'll just loop it or something. Or if you even have not a multiple, it'll just loop it until it can and then stops. That would be cool, right? I don't know. I think the piano roll is the way to go, though. We definitely need more of these, like, operations or whatever they were called. So yeah, I guess that'll wrap it up just with my wishes there, that we can get functionality like this instead of a MIDI effect being applied to existing MIDI. Why don't we just get all of this capability straight from the piano roll itself? And then people don't have to be creative in a random gambling kind of way, but they can actually use these functions intentionally. I guess there's nothing left to say now. Goodbye.